Hi, I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We are AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Vinland Saga Season 2, Episode 5. Two things could happen this episode.
Okay.
I've really been enjoying this season so far. I've loved what we've gotten from Thorfinn this season, and Einar. But, last episode, we were given a little bit of Canute at the end. So, one of the ways this could go is give us more Canute. That's how we ended last episode. That's what I'd expect for this episode to be.
Mm-hmm.
The other option being more of, Thorfinn, which I wouldn't be upset at that, but the expectation's there to see more of Canute now.
I don't want to say that I just really need to see Canute right now.
I really need to see Canute right now.
I think that I do. I think that I really want to. It's a strong desire for to see Canute and what he's up to more in
Where
this
his head's
episode.
at. Maybe Thorkel with him. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet.
We're
Path
checking in
of
on Canute.
Blood.
We're checking in on Canute.
Hell yeah, we are.
Or his brother. Either one.
What's the general consensus? These do not look like happy people, but it could be out of motivation. I didn't expect to go back.
No, I didn't either. He's like, I feel like he's looking at me.
Hey man, I do not mind seeing this again.
I love how he's holding it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so like casual and comfortable. Like I've been holding this my whole life.
Do you think this means we're gonna see the aftermath or no?
Wow. Wow. I wonder what it's like to follow Canute now.
The man who killed Askeladd avenged the king's death, but isn't wearing the crown.
2014, it changed.
Aftermath.
So did they rise up again after hearing about the king's death?
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay.
イングランド方面軍の長クヌートスベンの死を受け亡命先のノルマンディから身を果たしたエセルレッド2世イングランド王を名乗り王権の行方は再びイングランドは疲弊していたお下がりを大事ない陛下お慈悲を周イエスに誓っては何も知らなかったんですお飲み物に毒などお慈悲をエセルレッド陛下おのれ姑息な手を
No way, you're still there.
Jesus Christ. Just the heads on sticks, man.
この地を制圧した我が軍の先遣隊です。そうではない。何をしているのかと聞いているのだ。略奪でしょう。古事記の中から売れそうな娘を探し。あの者たちの首をはねて道にさらせ。 品の収集は戦の慣例です。やたら取り締まるのは。物は我が兵ではない。
Men who can't maintain
Jesus.
discipline.
道にさらせ。おい、マジっすか。
Okay.
I'm not happy to see you.
Interesting shot.
わざわざのお越し、恐れ入ります。クヌート陛下。
段取りは
上々です。いつでもすでに待たせてございます。
They can move out immediately.
ご自身がお会いにならなくとも、我々に任せていただく。
宣教視察のついでだ。会ってみよう。
エアドリックは小心者です。お会いになる価値はありません。
人物の出来と利用価値の有無は別だ。
Character
Okay.
and usefulness, two different things.
わざわざここに赴いたのには他にも理由があるのだ。
と申されますと。
Yes!
Reunion? Why is he mad at him?
あれをなだめねばな。
I must appease that. Think about the horses!
What has happened?
Why is he so mad at him? The music.
Stop the battle. Gotcha. And he hates frogs. I relate to that.
Frogs?
マーシア側から休戦の申し出。この地での勝敗はもはや決した。
やかましいわ。一度始まったら大将首取るまで終わらねえんだ。エアドリックの首をぶった切るとこだったのによ。
マーシア博エアドリックは一地方領主に過ぎぬ。戦局を大きく見よう。
He doesn't care about that.
The framing of Canute is so interesting.
東の地でエセルレッドの子エドモンド神帝にお力をお貸しくださいませ。エルドノの圧倒的などこで誰サイコロ頭じゃいねえだろうな。俺はあん時こう言ったから何をして何者になっていくのかで見届けてやるってな。まだ何者でもねえ。イングランド王でさえねえ。あの若造だ。だっておめえは戦を避けられねえ。つでっきり開くしかねえんだ。
Carve your path of blood.
アシェラットがそうしたようにな。の歩く道は始まりから血まみれ
Damn.
なんだぜ。
From the start.
つまでやったんじゃい。とせ死ねえ。今日だけは引き下がってやるがな。二度目はねえぞ。
Okay. How many times has this happened, do you think?
Hundreds.
一理ある。貴重な忠告だ。裏表のない男だ。あやつのように生きられるなら痛快で行くぞ。
I think I would like following someone who seemed level-headed.
Ah.
4000ポンド。今の我々に集められるすべてだ。お納めくだされ。軍を引き上げてくれるならば、さらに4000坪しよう。ではないはずだ、クヌート殿。
デーンゲルドということか、アドリク殿。
クヌート殿。
Oh, the rosary.
安いな。
What was that face he was making?
I don't know.
よし、そのままあげろ。
This music's unsettling.
Walking over it.
Sound.
Right?
The sound. He's standing on top of it. What an image.
一度聞く。そなたはアシアから出ていくことを望んで支払うのだな。
1000ポンドだぞ。退去料に足りんということはないはずだ。
足りぬ。己の申していることをよくイングランドのブレトワルダであるクヌートに治療から出ていけと。
Leave his own territory.
It was pretty insulting.
Oh my god.
無心のためではない。たわごと我が君は由緒正しきウェセックス・セルレット様だ。貴様などではない。なんかしかし父上ならん。時と場をわきまえよ。にいるな。世の他にもイングランド王を名の手打ちはエセルレットの許可があってのことなのか。王陛下もきっとご理解くださる。心の広い。陛下が治療安堵のために勝手にエセルレットは許すのか。
意地悪だな。
お人のは。
He's got a nasty streak.
二人いるから世が乱れる。一人。
One must die.
先の戦の折、民と玉座を捨てて亡命した腰のイングランドの未来を託すのは愚かなことだと。
This score is so interesting.
Walking back over it.
You've already betrayed him.
そなたの手を借りたいのだ。エアドリク。エセルレットに。
Are we symbolizing like the poison drink from earlier?
Yeah. Good call.
私から最後の忠節まで奪うというんだぞ。その代わりマーシアは奪わぬ。レッドの首が代価だ。得な買い物であろうが。交渉は決裂した。
Are you sure?
この陣は小心者ではないようだぞ。かの気骨だ。さて、お試しになってはいかがですか。
I don't like that. I don't.
でよ、エアドリク殿。そなたに見せたいものがある。
What they were hoisting up earlier?
I don't want to see whatever it is. Apparently he has a nasty streak, and I don't know how I feel about seeing it. Is that a giant, like, bonfire? Well,
準備は良いか。は、陛下。やれ。
is there something at the top of it?
Getting the impression he's done this before.
The silence is so good.
世と戦うとはこういう。想像するがいい、エアドリク。だ今、マーシアは灰に帰した。
So he's giving him a visual, like, how far his reach is.
わかったか。世がその気になればき尽くすことなど造作もないのだ。
Reducing you to ash. Jesus. Oh. Jesus.
That is powerful.
Wow.
16 he would? Naturally, or
it seems like poison to me.
also died of an illness.
It's just gonna seem like divine intervention at some point.
Bet he's bored.
病没ときたね。もうでも10年かかった国取り合戦が3年足らずで終わっちまった。クヌートのことをブレとワルダとして認めるとさ、すぐに即一式だと。クヌートの話はやめろ。酒が。えい。
Wow. He's gotten through all of them.
Unnatural deaths of his rivals.
10,
Oh my god.
Is this a bad time to say that I think I preferred the stubble?
Okay, that was Vinland Saga Season 2, Episode 5. Okay, immediately, like halfway through the episode, I was at a crossroads internally of like, this doesn't at all anytime soon need to involve Thorfinn's storyline or Einar's. It's more so catching us up to the set piece.
Yeah.
And then the story can go from there. But God, I want to see Thorfinn and Canute interact with each other. So, okay, a few questions and just mysteries or question marks in my mind. In episode 2 of this season, we were told by Olmar that when he was, showing his sword skills off to the girl.
The girl that, her family was setting up in hopes that they could join the family one day.
He had mentioned that he wanted to be a part of Canute's army under King Harald.
Yes.
Harald is Canute's older brother, who King Sven wanted to put into charge while he was going to assassinate Canute.
Yes.
Now, unless, which is, I totally, on the table that I missed something this episode, but it seemed like there was no talk of Harald being king. And I'm not entirely sure when and where that would have occurred. There are two ways that I'm thinking. Number one is that what we were shown in episode 2 of this season had taken place before the events of Canute talking to negotiating here. Okay. And we've seen past that now. My other thought is that something happens that takes Canute back off the throne in the future, and what we'd seen from Thorfinn's, situation is in the future. I don't believe that to be the case. If I had to choose one of those two things, I would think that where we're at right now with Canute, Thorfinn is years ahead of episode 2 of season 2.
I'm gonna go with that too. I mean, I thought it kind of was jarring to me for a second when they showed the kings that Canute has gone through in order to now be succeeding the throne in year 1018.
Yeah.
And they only showed King Sven, King Ethelred, and King Edmund. So I was like, that means to me that Canute wasn't the end for his brother. His brother must have died in war against the exiled King Ethelred, something like that. That it wasn't Canute's doing or by illness that King Harald died, more like on the battlefield he died.
Or just something.
Yes.
I don't know if we were given a year. I wouldn't be surprised if we were, but I didn't write it down. Given a year since episode 1 of this season, when everything with Einar took place and meeting of Thorfinn,
If we were given a year, I didn't write it down.
Yeah. But currently, I am, in my head, making most sense. What makes most sense, I don't see ever Canute being able to leave the throne without dying.
Correct.
Or going into exile.
Correct.
And because of that, and the relationship we were told between General and King, I assumed that happened before anything we saw this episode.
Mm-hmm. The timelines are a little bit fuzzy for me because of the fact that we're not at the same time skipping back and forth between them. So
Which is interesting.
I am trying to like figure out like, because we see in this episode that we just watched, episode 5, we see Canute in 3 different ages, 3 different stages. One that is actually 4, because we see him right at the end of season 1. Then we see him again after the aftermath of season 1, where he has Thorkel behind him, his hair is shorter, and he has the scar. And then we see him with the stubble for the majority of this episode, and then at the end, he's crowned in 1018 with a beard.
Correct.
So there's like years that are happening within that.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of skipping between all these years, and I don't really know exactly where that matches up with Thorfinn. And honestly, what it does to me as a viewer is it completely throws me even more for a loop in terms of theorizing how Thorfinn would be meeting Canute again.
Okay, so just to like solidify where my timeline that is completely fabricated lies.
Okay.
1014, King Swen dies, season 1 ends. I'm going to take a guess and say when Thorfinn meets Einar, as well as Canute negotiating this episode, that occurs in 1016. 1018, he's crowned. Okay. We haven't seen Thorfinn and Einar in 1018, in my opinion.
Okay, question. Now, from that, do you think that we, from this episode, are going to skip to 1018 for Thorfinn and Einar, if that's the case?
Yes, I do. Not immediately. But I'd actually like to revisit what I just said. So, 1014, King Swen dies. I'd say 1015 is when we see what's the son's name again?
The son?
Olmar?
Yeah, Olmar.
I think 1015 is when we see Olmar talking about where Canute is. And then 1016 would be Canute, where we see him here. Because he's declaring himself as the leader. Like, at this point, I think that his brother's already out of the picture for some reason. His brother had to,
I'm thinking died on the battlefield, or died by the enemy, died by King Ethelred.
I think Canute could have killed him.
Possibly. I think that if Canute had actually secretly killed him, they would have visually included that in the like lineup of all the kings that he has mysteriously gotten through before now getting to be on the throne.
That's true.
But I think it would have been included.
Yeah. So I was going to say that, okay, well, what if, like, they wouldn't have to do that if Harold hadn't been king for a minute, but Olmar said King Harold, so you're right. They would have shown us it, I think. But that's where, like, my headspace is now. If we're trying to get to 1018 from Thorfinn's point of view, and we're operating under the assumption that what we've seen so far from Thorfinn's point of view is not 1018 and prior to that, what would... They don't even have to interact at all, I guess, right? But where would Thorfinn and Einar be in the year 1018?
So
what would they be doing?
From the episode 4 that was right before this one, we have them in a very interesting place in terms of like starting to understand each other. Basically, Einar starting to understand who Thorfinn is and was in his past, and also how Thorfinn feels. But Thorfinn's also like starting to wake up a little bit in terms of actually thinking about himself and his past and his will to live actually existing, even though he vocally says it doesn't, but his body is saying different. And so we have them in this place of starting to understand each other. We got this really cute imagery of this like mother hedgehog carrying a baby hedgehog. And so I feel like if we did skip into the future, what it would be for them is that they have grown closer, and Einar is much more of a support to Thorfinn now. They're much more of a team and a duo, and they're getting a lot out of friendship with each other.
My guess is going to be, because originally I was thinking that Thorfinn was going to be picked up by the animal crew, but now I'm thinking 1018, that's when Einar and Thorfinn can buy their own freedom. That's my guess. Or something happens on the farm that makes them have to run away.
Something happens on the farm that makes them have to... I see that. Okay, so if Canute is king in 1018, that means that whatever choices are made by the army at that point are all Canute's decision. I don't know what that means for what I'm saying, but it would mean that what if Canute or Thor... We saw that Thorkel was disappointed in Canute right now. Thorkel was intrigued by Thorfinn and then disappointed by Thorfinn by the end of season 1. It could be that one of them might want to find him.
I think that if it was anybody, it'd be Thorkel. I don't see that happening, but I do definitely want to talk about Thorkel, because I think like the lack of war and the steps Canute has taken and is continuing to take is definitely rubbing Thorkel the wrong way. I wonder... So...
Once he's king, there's less fighting, I'm sure.
Based off of where Thorfinn is as of last episode, could we imagine a world or a future that Thorfinn's ideals and way of thinking become steadfast and confident in that he's talking to somebody who's from the other side, right? And is being able to get along with them and not kill each other, and being able to see the humanity in each other. Could that put Thorfinn on an opposition in terms of ways of thinking to Canute? And off of that, is there any possibility that Thorfinn would ever feel motivated enough within that belief that it would give Thorkel a reason to fight for... It would give Thorfinn that look in his eye that would, you know...
I feel like
inspire others.
It wouldn't be opposing to Canute, because I don't think Canute would have done... So Canute's reaction to the soldiers taking some of the women of Mercia, taking them and gonna put them into slavery, do whatever they want with them. His reaction to that is that he does not want men that can't display discipline in his ranks.
This is before Canute's king.
That is before he's king, but we saw how, like, his development of his mindset and how he came to be the Canute we know now in season 1 is this giant episode that I feel like he wants to create a paradise on Earth. I doubt that he would just totally wreck that and start doing something that an Einar type character and then a Thorfinn being friends with Einar would completely reject.
I think the only way he does change up is if what King Sven had said about the crown and how it has its own motives comes back into play and changes Canute.
That and there are in history time periods where people who are like religiously motivated will then go to take over other countries, not for power, but for converting. Not necessarily for power. I'll say that in quotes.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. He says, "I'm not here for wealth. He's here for his country." But there is historical fact that people with strong religious beliefs have in the past waged war in order to convert others and kind of spread their message.
It's crazy to see Canute and where we saw him this episode. Like, thinking about how far he's come from being in a tent praying to getting the very strong impression this is not the first time he's done this, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
The fact that, okay, visually, he didn't have to lay a finger on this man, but the entire time he was being intimidating as hell. The fact that he climbed onto the wealth and was like stomping on
Such
it.
a good visual.
Walking
the
on
sound
it,
design was so crazy.
and standing on top of it, like,
Yeah.
is this really what you think I'm worth? Like, I spit on this kind of stuff. Oh, it felt so good to see
Right.
that. It was so intimidating. And then to not still not lay a finger on this man, not lay a finger on his son, even though they're basically standing there like, no, we want to support King Ethelred, like, we're not going to make a deal with you, the truce is off. A lot of people would just fly off the handle and be like, oh, okay, that's what you want? I'm going to kill you now because you said something to my face.
Yeah.
But he just goes, let me give you one more chance. Let me just show you a pretty little performance art piece that I had ready for you.
Yeah.
So good.
Canute had said a couple of lines referring to making things ash.
Like Askeladd.
Have we been saying Askeladd's name wrong this entire
maybe.
time?
I've thought about that since the end of season 1.
Like, just like obviously the origin of Ash, right? Is it Ashkelad or Ashelad?
I've been thinking about this since season 1, but I didn't want to say it because I was like, we've already been saying it like this for so long.
We're too far gone.
We're too far gone with it. I just was like, I'm just going to roll with it. But then, yeah, it didn't really occur to me that it might be wrong until we find out the explanation of this nickname that he has been given and that it is originating from, like, born from the ash. Then I was like, shoot.
I cannot believe how, like, they really meant it when they said season 1 was a prologue.
Yes.
They really did.
And they have me in a place now of having literally no clue what this story is supposed to be telling me.
Nothing.
I knew
no
I had a feeling of what the story of season 1 was supposed to be telling me, but now hearing that was a prologue and then seeing this kind of mixture of Thorfinn's over here chopping down trees, Canute is becoming king. I have no clue where we're going with this. I'm like, wait, why did we need to know that they met earlier when they're in such drastic different parts of their lives and in different places now? And I can't even begin to theorize how they would be meeting up again and it be narratively important that they met in the past.
It puts me in a very difficult position in terms of trying to guess what would happen next. I have no idea.
I literally can't even guess.
I'm excited.
I guess that's a good thing sometimes, to be surprised.
Do you think Canute tries to revisit Ireland in Conquering?
Maybe.
That was on the radar in season 1.
I wish that I knew if this was, like, any ounce of historical accuracy. I feel like
I think
there's a bit of it that definitely is, but I don't know if it's I don't know what the percentage is.
That's fair.
It's been a while since I've taken a history course.
So I'm not, like, great at this stuff. I studied a bit of it, but I will say one thing. The best way to approach fiction that is based in reality and the earth that we live on is to get your facts straight and then twist them.
Yes.
And I believe that's what
I feel like is happening.
Yeah.
I feel like there's definitely a bunch of fabricated stuff because literally, unless someone wrote a diary, a kid named Thorfinn kept a diary from year 1014 and they adapted it into an anime. Like, you know. Yeah,
I get you.
There's gonna be some fabrication and some creativity involved. I just don't know what percentage, what's being changed. And that's because it's just been so long since I have studied world history, which was my favorite subject in high school. But it's been a while.
Speaking for myself, throughout my entire schooling before independent studies or like trying to become like an archaeologist shit, right? Everything that was high school or before, I had only been taught US history or anything before the time of 500 AD in terms of, world history. And it wasn't until after I got out of high school that through independent reading and research and then taking classes to pursue that historical goal, right, or career, is when I learned more about everything.
Yeah, it was like before, it was like really, really, really long time ago, or it was like the Crusades.
Yeah.
Because we were in religious schooling.
Yeah. Did you know that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell?
I did know that.
Huh. All right, that's all I have. It's kind of hard to like...
It's hard to... We don't have... And I don't have anything else. I'm speaking for you
I really enjoyed the episode.
I enjoyed the episode.
I'm excited to see what's to come.
I have no clue what's to come.
You good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time. Also, the score is really good.